Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys enjoyed my video today. We are going to go through my tips and predictions of the weekend coming up. We got no team list at the moment as of the time of me recording this, but we'll try and get through the way that we usually do. We'll go through each game, each team and how they played over last weekend into this weekend. Also, do want to shout out everything that the NRL did around the Anzac Day weekend there. Everything was amazing, and shout out to everyone that went out there and showed respect, showed support. Just amazing. The moment of silence were beautiful, like all that sort of stuff. So really wanted to touch on that. Really great work from the NRL and from our communities. Shout out to all the Anzacs, everyone that serves for our country, men and women. Just shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for all that you do for us. So anyway, guys, as I said before, we're going to go through my tips and predictions and my thoughts on each and every team. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So first game of the weekend, we got the Sharks versus the Cowboys at PointsBet Stadium. First of all, we'll touch on the Sharks and how they're playing at the moment. So they beat the Doggies last week, 33-20. In a very, I don't know how I feel, very up and down affair. Like the first 30 minutes, they looked like they were going to put a scoreline on the poor Doggies that have been injury ridden for the last couple of weeks. I thought the Doggies did really well to fight back into this contest and really make it a game. But Nico Hines and just the class of the Sharkies just a bit too much. Nico Hines in amazing form. Hemueli had a really, really good game, I thought, in the middle there. Britton Okora is just a freak at the moment. And Will Kennedy, I cannot touch on Will Kennedy enough. He has been so good. One of the most underrated fullbacks in our league at the moment, and he's just killing the league right now. I know a whole lot of boys that have him in the Supercoach team. Just not the option I ever thought about for Supercoach, but he's putting up some good numbers at the moment. So well done to all those people. Moving on to the Cowboys, and obviously getting there back into the winning circle last week. 18-16 against the Newcastle Knights team that is so determined, so gritty, and they just stay in a contest these days. And I got to give it to the Knights too. I'll talk about them a little bit later on, but I just thought that this Cowboys team were desperate as fuck for this win, and they needed that. Valentine Holmes was fucking amazing. Finally, he was getting ball and really good opportunities there. I thought his effort's been amazing the last couple of weeks. He just hasn't been put in the right places at the right time. I think Scotty Drinkwater coming back and all that sort of stuff really, really helps out that. I think Scotty, as we'll just touch on, Scotty just helps the game so much. Obviously finishing the game with 245 meters, 5 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, just a gun in the middle. He really helps that spine click into gear, especially when they're having a little bit of their low weeks. Still missing a ton of tackles in the middle though, so that's where I think the boys may need to touch on a little bit, which is not like the Cowboys last year. Last year they just were defending so hard, but missing a lot of tackles. I think Nanai missed 8 tackles in our last game, which, Nanai, he can be up and down like that, but fuck, his attacking upside still there. My tip for this game, I got the Sharkies at home. I think the Sharkies may be just a bit too tough for the Cowboys here, but I expect the Cowboys to kick into gear sometime soon. Obviously after this win, it really sucks that they're kicking into gear and they're playing the Sharkies at home, but I just think the Sharkies are a bit too strong. So the next game of the weekend, we got the Eels versus the Knights at CommBank Stadium. So first of all, we'll touch on the Eels and a really tough game, tough loss against the Broncos last week, 26-16, where they kind of got blown off the park to start the game there. Obviously, things not going their way for the middle, and just the Broncos, I think the Broncos came in with a really strong game plan with them and just played really conservative footy until moments where they could strike, and the ball just bounced their way in most moments and all that sort of stuff. I do want to touch on those hip drop sort of stuff. I was going to touch on a little bit later on, but I may as well touch it on with the Eels as well, because Hopgood got done for one that I honestly don't believe is a hit drop. If you want to give my honest opinion on a hit drop, obviously I don't have as much pull as anyone in the game. I never played NRL and all that sort of stuff. But in my opinion, the hip drop I always believed was, 2 players holding other 2 players up and 1 player grabbing onto the hips or the waist and dropping their weight on the back of the legs of that tackle where there's nowhere to go, not a swinging motion, all these swinging ones and all that sort of stuff. And I honestly hate, the one thing I do hate, they bring into saying jiu-jitsu and wrestling is the reason why this is happening. Honestly, if you've watched grappling matches, the amount of, I do jiu-jitsu personally, I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, nothing too crazy. I'm just, I'm a casual fucking jiu-jitsu boy. But if you watch grappling matches, if you watch UFC on the weekends, how many times do you actually see wrestlers use that hip dropping motion, especially on the back of the legs? On the side of the legs, usually you will want to put pressure on parts and that sort of spot, but I've never seen that to where and again, 2 holding up, 1 chopping the back of the legs like that. That's not a jiu-jitsu move. I hate when I wish they were more informed of jiu-jitsu and all that sort of stuff to actually comment and say that is it a jiu-jitsu move. I believe that maybe within the game, the ones that are happening these days are all just momentum based off really strong runners. Britton Okora gets caught in those positions a lot because he hits the whole really hard in perfect positions, and boys just latch on and do whatever they can. In the Eels game here, I'm pretty sure it was Dury, I think, hit a really nice hole. And Ezra Mam got wrapped around and got into the back of the legs. I honestly just hate all that feel on that. But the big talking point also out of this is RCG. He is out for a bit of weeks. And honestly, I think he's been one of their better forwards this year. He's been amazing. I always feel like RCG is a little bit underrated in the middle there. So, losing him is definitely a big out for the Eels here. But not really much else to touch on. I still think, I don't know what it is with this team, but they just don't they have they go and then they don't. I don't know what it is. You can't really put your finger on it, really, eh? And over with the Knights, KP is back, and he had some really nice moments last week in that game against the Cowboys, where they end up losing 18-16, as I touched on before. But it was against a desperate Cowboys team at Townsville, and they didn't let it blow out. 18 points to 16. That's not too crazy there, honestly. And I honestly thought they had some really good moments in this game where they could have changed possession, but just desperate. I felt like it was a really gritty game. There was a couple of errors here and there and all that sort of stuff, but some good moments from some key players here. Hopefully, Adam Elliott is back sometime soon. As I said, I don't have the team list in front of me. I'm not sure if he's back this week, but he would be a massive in. Greggy Marju's been amazing for him the last couple of weeks. He's been so good. Dane Gagai had an amazing contest with Valentine Holmes over the weekend, back and forth. Both amazing players. Gagai just has this tap balance, he's just so hard to get to the ground. And I thought Crossland had a hot and cold game, but he had some really good moments in the middle where he made 44 tackles. What more can you want from your middle there? Except I think that's what the Knights are really struggling at the moment. They're losing their proper hooker, and now they got to make cover with Phoenix Crossland, who's a half playing hooker, all that sort of stuff. And Kurt Mann's got to fill in a spot there as well, but you had Gamble move back to 14. It was a weird game because they had to switch in and bring in KP, and the rotation was a little bit off, but I expect them to come back next week and get their rotation really nicely and just hold into a game against the Eels here. But my tip for this week, I got the Eels. I really just think the Eels coming off a loss, playing at home, I just think they're just going to play really, really extra hard and just try to stay in this contest. So I feel like the Eels, I'm going to go Eels very close though. Next game, we got the Broncos versus Rabbits at Suncorp. This is going to be a fucking cracker of a game in my opinion. And first of all, we'll touch on the Broncos. As I was saying before, we spoke about the hip drop situations. You don't really need to hear too much out of me, but I also thought the Payne Haas one was pretty tough, especially now they're going to be without Mam and Haas for a couple of weeks now. I think Haas only for a week. Mam, I'm not too sure. I think he's only a week as well, but I'm not too sure there. I haven't really checked out the casualty award and all that sort of stuff. 26-16 win over the Eels, where they came out and they actually put on a very strong, high completion rate performance in that first half. The Eels brought it back in the second half, made a really tough contest there, but the Broncos were just a bit too strong in this contest. Ezra Mam had some fucking sick moments in this game. That little flick pass for that try assist meant he had some freakish moments in that, and the ball just bouncing his way. Adam Reynolds was kicking the ball in the perfect spots, just getting them to where they needed to go. Walshy wasn't there as much in this game, but he still was there, you know what I mean? He was doing his best to get into the game. This wasn't his best game over the weekend, but I felt like the Broncos just looked a lot more controlled in this one. But obviously, I think they're going to really miss Payne Haas coming into this game, especially, where the Rabbits were still down with middles, but I had a really big performance against the Panthers. I feel like Payne Haas could have really helped out the Broncos here. I do want to touch on Herbie Farnworth as well. Very strong again. That guy is an absolute freak. I can't touch on him enough. And Katoni Staggs has actually been playing very good lately. I know his run meters and all that aren't really up there, but he's just contesting. He seems to be in the contest a little bit more now. So that's just towards my eye. That's what I'm seeing in the contest anyway. Moving on to the Rabbits, and I think that was the best performance over the weekend. I thought that was honestly the best game over the weekend. In my opinion, 20-18 against the Panthers. And I thought the Panthers defense to start the game was fucking stellar. The Rabbits defense was really, really good as well. It was just high quality football, amazing football. Defensively, they did really well, other than letting Stephen Crichton in a couple of times and that big intercept and all that sort of stuff. But I just thought defensively, they just really turned up for themselves here. And this is what really won them back the game, honestly, and they just wanted it more right at the end, especially when Taruva, he went down. I saw Cooper Cronk talking about it. It was actually a really big talking point that I didn't notice during the game, but this is where some good media and all that sort of stuff actually fill in. But when Taruva went down, we saw Salmon defending on that center. On the other side, Stephen Crichton went to the other wing, and that's where the Rabbits start to attack, and just really smart attack from the Rabbits there. When they get their set pieces going, they're fucking lethal. Cody Walker, Latrell, AJ, Isaiah Tass on that side is fucking mental. Obviously, the massive news at the moment, Jackie Whiten has reported that he is going to the Rabbits. It's not come out from the Rabbits yet, but it's been predicted, like, it's going to happen sort of stuff. So I feel sorry for Isaiah Tass, had an amazing game in this one, but Jackie Whiten will most likely be playing that center role unless they move the halves around. But I feel sorry for Ilias. Like, I don't know how they're going to make it work, but if they make it work, fuck, that is a massive signing. My tip in this game is the Rabbits, even though at Suncorp and all that sort of stuff, I just think Payne Haas is a massive out. I really do. I think Payne Haas has been the forward. This year, he's been amazing. I think the Rabbits will probably just pip it out, but I feel like this is a game where I can see the Broncos dropping this one, unfortunately. Next game, we got the Raiders versus the Finns at McDonald's Stadium. So this is the Raiders home game for this one. I'll touch on the Raiders first of all. We had a nice week off of a bye. Obviously, last week getting a win over the Dragons, 20-14, where I felt like they were a bit up and down in that performances. But I think the key for the Raiders, especially in this game, is just to use their middles, use them properly, get some offloads going, and disrupt the Finns. The Finns the Dolphins have a really strict game, like not strict game plan, but their game plan is so simplified. Just make your tackles, all that sort of stuff, get into the contest, grind your contest, and win it at the end of the game. Like, you know, you just see like the Dolphins put in like full 80-minute performances. Where they get disrupted is where there's a lot of like off the cuff sort of footy. And I feel like that's Raiders when the Raiders play really well. There's a whole lot of offloads for the middle. You got Tarpon, you got Horsburgh, you got fucking like Corey Harawira if he gets named this week. Like that's the biggest thing with Ricky. You don't know who he's going to name and all that sort of stuff. But like that's where I feel like they have the key in this matchup. Moving on to the Finns, amazing comeback against the Titans last week. It was fucking mental, this game, but 28-26, I felt like this like contest really changed. Like it just, yeah, the Finns stuck to their game plan. This is what happens. Footy is a simple game. If you stick to your game plan, stick to your morals and what you've come in to do, and shit will turn into your favor. We're learning it with the Warriors this year, but we're also learning it with the Finns and how simple of a game rugby league actually is. So you got the Titans, who usually are such a flamboyant team. They got the talent across the park, but it just comes down to a strict game plan and following that game plan to a T. And I feel like the Dolphins did that really, really well. Obviously, the biggest one is like Robert Jennings. What the fuck was going on there? What's doing? I've thought about it over the weekend, like why did he like not score that try? I don't know, but feel sorry for him there. Obviously the biggest brain fart I've seen in a little while, but obviously scoring another try a little bit later on. I think that was a try to actually go ahead or a try, all that sort of stuff. But in the middle of that game, I thought Jared Wallace was actually really, really good. He really took it to his old team, and I thought he played very, very well to bring him back into the contest. Isaiah Katoa had one of the better moments that I've seen in his career at the moment. The one thing I'm really impressed with is Isaiah Katoa. He's such a young player. Usually young players can be like very, they just get a whole lot of energy and they just bounce around everywhere. They don't follow game plans and that. Isaiah follows game plans and he sticks at it. This was the one moment where he was on broken play and he looked really, really good. And it was all off broken play. This is where they can become what they like, you know, they can just pull out something out of nothing. He hit like two right foot steps, an fake unders ball, and just put it on a dime onto Ewan Aiken that created space over in the corner for Robert Jennings for that beautiful try. So it was really good performance there from Isaiah Katoa. He got to his kicks really well. He turned the game around. Like his kicking game was really, really nice, I thought, in my opinion. And Ewan Aiken, shout out to him. Ex-Warrior, it's good to see him play some really good footy. It's really good to see every week, you know, scoring that really nice try there. He just barnstormed over the top. Just really, really good moments. And Marky Nichols, the GOAT. Shout out to Marky Nichols. In this one, I'm going to sway the Finns. I don't know what it is. I just feel like the Raiders can be so hot and cold at the moment where the Finns play a full 80-minute performance. I can just see the Finns pipping it out. Very close game, though. I really feel like it's a very close game. Next game, we got the Seagulls versus the Titans at 4 Pines Park. First of all, we'll touch on the Seagulls and a very messy game over the weekend against the Tigers, 22-16 in a really, like, as I just said, like a very sloppy game of footy. I felt like the Seagulls came out and they felt like they could do whatever they want with the Tigers, which in moments they could have, but it just looked very sloppy. I think that was one of Schuster's like worst games. He didn't have the best game in that matchup there. Obviously, I don't know if he's still dealing with some sort of like with his quad injury and all that sort of stuff. We saw him limping around a little bit, but hopefully he's doing well. Tommy Turbo, obviously with a groin strain or as an adductor injury. I saw an NRL physio, so apparently it's nothing too serious at the moment, but we'll have to see. He'll have to go through his checks before he plays this weekend. No team list, so I don't know. Ola Kawatu was still fucking freaking this one, and DC had a hot and cold game, had a, like, yeah, I don't know. He didn't have his best game, I thought, in this one. But I thought Lockie Croker has been playing really, really well in the middle there. And I thought he was very, very solid for them this one. And with the Titans, obviously, like, one of the most disappointing losses over the weekend. They looked amazing in that first half. 28-26, obviously, as I said before. Looked so strong in the first half. Their talent was clicking. Everything was clicking into gear. Fafita looked damaging. Chris Randall looked fucking awesome. I felt like what really hurt the Titans, and I feel like it's hurt them the last couple of weeks, is their rotations. And I was speaking to a couple of family of mine and all that sort of stuff, and we were just talking about it and all that sort of stuff. Shout out to Varney, obviously the NRLW killer Titans fullback and all that sort of stuff. But I just felt like the rotation, I don't know what it is. Like when like Tino and all that sort of stuff lay a platform, but when you see those boys come off, their platform kind of falls away. And I feel like when Tino and all that gets chucked back on the field, he chases his tail. Like it starts to chase his tail now. And that's where errors and all that sort of stuff comes into their game. I thought Campbell's rotation was questionable. He definitely needed to be put on a little bit earlier to change back the momentum and all that sort of stuff. I don't know really where to touch on it. Like there was moments like Brimo throwing that intercept to APK. I understand that APK is quick as fuck, or AKP. Khan Pereira is quick as fuck. But man, Asako just ate that up and all that sort of stuff. And Kieran Foran to Khan Pereira as well. That little kick early in a tackle. I've never seen Foran do something like that. Usually Foran's very good just to stick to game plans and just get rolled down the field and all that sort of stuff and get back into contests. That just plays straight into the Dolphins' hands. And that's what high completion rate footy does. Like moments come because teams do make errors in moments like that. And this is what happened with the Titans in this one. So it was very disappointing, but I feel like the Titans should get back on the horse, obviously, but just a tough game here. My tip in this one, I'm going to Seagulls. Four Pines Park is a fortress at the moment. It's so tough to go in there, get a win, and the Titans just, yeah, after last week, I don't know. I really don't know. Next game of the weekend, we got the Panthers versus the Tigers at Carrington Park, Bathurst. So they're playing at Bathurst. It's going to be an amazing game for both teams here. Oh, actually, I'll rehash that. It's going to be a good game for the Panthers here. Touching on the Panthers. Tough game against the Rabbits last week. Losing 20-18, but I felt like they were so good for most of this game. Spencer Linu was fucking amazing for turning momentum back into their favor. Had a couple of massive runs. This is what the Roosters are going to get with him, and fuck, it's going to be very, very scary. That Roosters team is still looking just... who knows? Just amazing. Critter had a hat trick. Critter was fucking awesome. And I just want to touch on To'o's defense. Like To'o solely in that defensive line. I know Critter had some moments and all that stuff, and that edge really got stripped apart later on in the game. But I thought To'o in all these moments, he picks the right plays. Like his defensive work is fucking awesome. He's very high up there. I honestly think Murray Taulagi and To'o, like probably two of the best defensive wingers, but also To'o's like a killer in attack as well. I've never seen they just shifted really whenever the Rabbits try to strip on an edge, usually they find space, but To'o just picked the right play every time. If you watch that game, just amazing masterpiece defensive work from To'o and Critter in moments as well. Like defensively, they're so tough to crack. I just honestly thought they had an amazing game. Moving on to the Tigers, and obviously another loss against the Seagulls, but they did look a lot better in moments and all that sort of stuff. It's just like, the rotations, the switching of the spine, the Tigers don't really help themselves at all. The conditions really didn't suit, the cyber footy they were going to try and play there and all that sort of stuff, but they still just struggle. I don't know what it is. They just can't kick into gear. RP Coruscant is still trying his ass off. I thought he's been really, really good for him, honestly. Like, it just would help if they had either a fullback that will rather be around him in moments and all that stuff when he just gets it past the line, he's got an offload in him, or a forward, like get a forward running off him and all that sort of stuff when he finds his front. Oh man, like when he plays out of the ruck the way he does, I just would love to see more boys get around him. Isaiah Papali'i should be there as well. Like he can capitalize off moments like that, but I don't know. This team just is thrown together quite a bit. Like it just seems like it's very thrown together. Just get them out on the field, see what happens. If they click, we'll stick with that team. If they don't, we'll ship it around and see what happens. I don't know. I feel so sorry for Tigers fans, especially when they had a better performance this week. But now they're coming up against the Panthers, and this is where it really sucks to lose those early games where they had easier games in the season. Now it's just like they're going bang, bang, bang. Like I feel so sorry for him. So obviously my tip this week, I got the Panthers. I think the Panthers just be way too strong. Coming off a loss, they want to get back on that winning streak. Now over to the Waz versus the Roosters at Mount Smart Stadium, and I'm gonna touch on the Waz a little bit here because obviously I can't do my War Talk video. We just had the game last night. It was way too late last night for me to do a War Talk video, but I'll do a quick review in this one basically, and you know, just go through my thoughts of the game. So touch on the Warriors first. Fuck, where do I start, man? Like 30-22. I am so proud of the performance the boys put in here. Oh man, I hate being that guy. I've never been that guy to question referees, and I honestly do believe if referees are the thing that you're saying, you weren't good enough to win this game. But coming down to 0 people on your bench, I know that shouldn't sway in any sort of favor, but we just had no bounce of the ball, no rub of the green at all. And it sucks to say we do seem to do this every week. We seem to not get the 50-50 calls. It just seems to pile on. That's the reason why a lot of Warriors fans do feel the same way as me. If you watch every week, it just feels like there's a pile on. And I'm not questioning saying like a referee's, they're getting paid off, all that bullshit. Like that doesn't happen. It just feels like for some reason we just don't get the rubber to green. Like obviously the biggest one I'm talking about is that Remus Smith one. The more I watch it, the more the angles, man. Like even if they just go to check it, like stop the kick of the ball, they usually do, and just check it. That will just help me just believe if I heard someone talk through that they didn't touch the ball, I would be like, okay, that's what he saw, is what it is. Even though like I thought there was so many other things going on with the Dylan Walker's sin bin for me, his hand was on the ball. I didn't see the head slant. Like, for me, I just thought he just got dominated in a tackle. Ellie Katoa, and I love Ellie. I don't want Ellie to get, like, it sucks to see him hurt out there the way he got hurt and all that. I thought it was just a strong tackle. His head bounced off the back of the ground, and he just got, I don't know, man. I don't want to be this fucking guy, but it was that. When you see Nelson get away with some stuff, like Nelson was fucking massive for the Storm in this game. He was so good for him, but he also is like, he loves that role, that like Jared Hargraves role where he's that man on the field, pushing and shoving, like in the ruck, second efforts in the ruck. We were getting no 6 again calls through like a whole lot of like moments. The Sean Johnson supposed like high tackle that he just slapped, like his arm wrapped around and slapped him. Oh man, like we just couldn't buy anything. I hate being that guy. I really do. I had to get it out. You guys, like, I'm raw. I want to tell you how I feel. That's how I honestly feel about it. Comment it down below. Like, go crazy on me, say I'm a fucking dickhead. But it is what it is. That's what I saw. Like, I felt like the boys put in a fucking amazing performance. Our first half was as close as perfect. Defensively, we had lapses on our line. We had moments, but it's a Melbourne Storm. Like that Cam Munster 40-20 changed the game. They put Nelson on, changed the game. Like Nelson was so big of an impact in this one, but just their big players had to stand up because we were putting the Storm in a hole to start that game. Our sets we were completing were amazing. Shawnee's kicking game was fucking awesome. We ended the game still holding on to an 89 completion rate in that game. No one on our bench. We were still in the game pretty much to the end. And just nothing got called out like way in that second half. That second half, I would go with you. That first half, for most of that first half, we were getting calls. Everything was happening. We were getting calls because our effort and everything just, oh man, I don't know. But again, I don't want to touch on that anymore. It is what it is. We move on. We weren't good enough to win that game, obviously. We don't want to keep touching on the referee, but like, you know, it is what it is. So no bench in this one. Obviously, Tohu, Jazzy, Siranen, Chance, all not coming back into this game. I feel like I'm missing someone else, but just amazing to hold on the way we did. We would have saw last year we got beat by 70 against the Storm with pretty much close to a full strength. I think Curran went off in that game and all that sort of stuff. But like, we've seen that turn into big points against the Warriors, and fuck our defense. We're getting stripped through the middle by Grant and Munster, and moments with like Nelson and Olam and Meany. But it come down to we had no rotation on our bench. All the boys in the middle were getting tired. We have boys like Bunty Afol who plays like 20 minutes a game in the middle for like the last 40. We had AFB just fucking like, he had such a massive game in this one. And I want to touch on the positives, obviously. Shawnee's kicking game, fucking awesome. A1. He was so good in this one. I thought Shawnee had an amazing game. He got the boys around the park perfect. AFB, huge game from him. Jackson Ford, fucking awesome. The way we were setting up where Jerome Hughes seems to get himself on his heels in defense. He seems to back up on those second rolls, and we just put him through that hole each and every time. Beautiful. Dylan Walker, amazing. Chance, awesome. Niokora, awesome. Ale, amazing. And Tohu, before he went out, just was so good in the middle. All our boys were turning up for us. Just such a tough loss, man. But we can build off this, and I believe in our team. Our team is there. Like, we are amazing. It's going to be a tough game this week, though. Fucking A, it's going to be a tough game this week. No team list out at the moment, but I can only imagine what we're going to look like on paper. Moving on to the Roosters, 27-26 win over the Dragons over the weekend, where they looked very, very strong early. They were getting but there is one thing with the Roosters. They just don't look set. They don't look like a team that has a set game plan. They look like they're just going off the classy players that they've got, and it just seems to work still. Like, there was moments in the game, Victor Radley put a sick pass to Egan Butcher for a massive hold. Moses Suli didn't have the best game to start out with, and I think I'll touch on that a little bit later on. Radley picked him apart there, where on that edge, I think Benny Hunt was pushing a little bit too far in. Moses Suli stayed a bit too far out, and Radley just slick hands putting Butcher through that hole, which ended up setting Teddy for that first try for them. Just amazing moments in this game from the Roosters, but they still don't look 100%. Like, they don't look like they're rolling through the field, getting through their sets. They don't look like, I don't know how to put it. Like, they don't look like they're set. Like, they don't look set at the moment. But off the cuff, they just play off the cuff. They play through the middle. They play and play. Like, Joey Manu was just so strong in the middle. Obviously not a natural 6. He doesn't get through like set plays or anything like that. There was moments where they try to do like a double sweep where Teddy was playing fullback, obviously, in that, and Manu was sweeping on the other side of the field. Didn't work out the first time, but then Manu, I think he got the first pass off the ruck and put a beautiful pass through. I can't remember who ran through that hole. I think it was Radley. I think Radley put it through, ran through on that one. But just, yeah, massive game from their big stars. Lindsay Collins was fucking awesome. Obviously, a whole lot of blood on his face, but it shows how much effort that man puts into a contest. But I feel like also the discipline of the Roosters at the moment are really like, is not that great. It's 8-4 penalty count over the weekend. And as I just come from like referees and all that sort of stuff, I didn't feel like they were getting pulled back, like some really bad calls in that. Obviously, the worst call I did see over the weekend, or one of the worst calls, was that Radley sin bin. We saw it, I think it was last year, wasn't it, where we had a head clash with, who was it? I think it was Wade Graham with the head clash against someone, and it caused a knock on, and he got done for, yeah. I remember that ages ago. He got done for a couple of weeks or something, 4 to 5 weeks, didn't he, or something, because it was a careless tackle. This one was barely even careless. It was a head clash, and then, man, like, I feel like we're just sin binning everything these games. Like, yeah, I don't want to keep bashing on the refs though, but yeah, that was a really disappointing one. As I keep saying, yeah, the Roosters' discipline at the moment isn't that great, and usually Roosters really hold everything into gear. Like, they are really good under pressure, not giving away too many penalties and all that sort of stuff. At the moment, they are. And I feel like that comes from frustration of them not clicking at the moment. You know, players aren't getting to right positions, all that sort of stuff. They've had a whole lot of rotations. But yeah, they'll click in a gear sometime. I do honestly believe that. I don't want to keep saying that for the Roosters, but I do honestly believe that. But my tip for the weekend, you know me, I'm a Warriors fan. I can't go past my team. But as I keep saying, like, this is going to be a very tough game for us. I can understand why people pick against us, is what it is. But I just, got to go with the boys. Got to support the boys. Boys are at home. We played really well against the Storm. If we just go out and just play another game plan like that, we're going to win more games than we lose. And I honestly do believe that. Hopefully we do pip one game out of this, like 3 big games. We had the Storm. We got the Roosters now. Then we got the Panthers. Hopefully we do pip one of those there so we can stay within that 8 range and all that sort of stuff and not drop 3 games in a row. Because the Panthers are going to be on song, I feel like, coming into next week as well. But yeah, I'm going the Wild. And last game of the weekend, we got the Dragons versus Doggies at Wynn Stadium, Dragons home ground. First of all, we'll touch on the Dragons. So 27-26 loss against the Roosters, but they had great moments in that game, I do honestly believe. Didn't start the game too well defensively. They had so many holes and gaps and all that sort of stuff. But I felt like the Roosters really capitalized on most of their attacking moments where they had opportunities. Again, it was mostly all off the cuff sort of stuff. It was like one-off big plays from their bigger star sort of players and all of that. But the Dragons could have defended a lot better in big moments there. Moses Suli had some blunders in defense and all that. He also was very good in that second half. I honestly thought Suli had a really good second half there. Blake Laurie was fucking awesome in this game. I honestly thought he's been playing very good footy lately, especially from a player that just seems like he's that tweener of like New South Wales Cup to bring up to NRL. He's actually been very, very good in the NRL stage at the moment. Tyrell Sloan was fucking awesome to turn on the fucking gears in the second half and bring the Dragons back in. He was, yeah, I give it to Sloaney. He's got some talent behind him. Obviously, he has some moments where he drops in and out of a game, but when he turns it on, and fuck, he looks good doing it. Jackie Bird had some awesome moments in this game, but obviously he had a couple of blunders. This is Jackie Bird. He's always in the contest. He always wants to try and do something. But obviously sometimes it does go out of hand, all that sort of stuff. With the Dragons, I just think trust the process still. Obviously, there's a whole lot of talk around your club, whether like the coach and all that sort of stuff, but just hold on. Like, just see how this year plans out and then plan for next year a little bit, like, you know, whether you move on your coach and all that sort of stuff. Like, have it early, let it set, and just have a game plan for next year. But it really sucks with the Dragons where they have, like, they're obviously a merger club. So just two sides of, like, you know, got Illawarra and St. George trying to, like, yeah, there's no one direction there. So that really hurts you. But yeah, I thought you had a really good performance in this game. Obviously losing just, you always seem to turn up for Anzac Day test. And with the Doggies grinding back against the Sharkies, very, very tough to do. And the Doggies did it very well. I thought they had moments where they were shifting momentum in this game, but I got to give it, Ryan Sutton probably had one of his biggest games to forget. Two big key drops of the footy in big momentum moments. But I feel sorry for Sutto. He's been very up and down lately. Obviously seeing him in rotations, moving down to the bench, moving into that like jersey 17, I wouldn't be surprised, mate. Like they don't even have, like, with injuries and all that sort of stuff, he won't get any time in New South Wales Cup by the looks of it. He'll improve. He's always seemed to be very consistent, but just, I don't know, he has some lapse of concentration sometimes as well. Birdo looked really, really strong with ball in hand. I felt like he should run more the way he did in like the end of that game. When he turns on and he runs, he can be really damaging, but sometimes he does look like he just runs with a little bit less like enthusiasm in some sort of aspects, but his kicking game is still awesome. Like, you know, it's just Birdo, but I feel like sometimes, you know, because he's a superstar, we do make excuses sometimes for him, but in moments, he does look like he just doesn't look like he's in the contest. And I feel like it was a good switch to get him a halfback to get his hands on the ball a lot more. Jacob Preston's going to be a Origin player. I can call it now. He's going to be awesome. He's going to be, I feel like in future years to come, he's going to grow into such a better player, but he's going to become that player that Doggies fans absolutely adore. And like, oh man, I love him. He looks fucking awesome. Shout out to Haynes Perham as well. He seems like he's grown so much in that fullback position. He's now got a nice little cutout ball. He's got a little bit on his passing game and all that sort of stuff. He's still a lot more to grow on, 100%, but he looks like he is growing. So that's a definite big tick for him. And Declan Casey always seems to impress me every time he plays for the Doggies. He seems to be such a consistent, good defensive winger as well. Seems to put hits on. Like, he's fucking awesome in that sort of aspect. But he also has these little talent plays that he pulls out too. So very, very good sign for the Doggies. All their juniors and all that sort of stuff looking amazing. I'm just waiting on Gerald Skelton though, because I've been waiting for him forever. He's been so good. New South Wales Cup, I've been watching for years. Cunt is a freak. So waiting for him to come into this lineup. I'm not sure whether he will get a shot now, but it is what it is. My tip for this game, I'm going the Dragons at home. I think the Dragons may be just a little bit too strong, but I think the Doggies are going to be in this one all the way to the end. I feel like it's just one of those games. I'm just going to tip the home side. I feel like the Dragons at Wynn Stadium usually go pretty well at Wynn Stadium. Wollongong, they're a bit up and down. Actually, is it the opposite? I'm not too sure, but I'm just going to go to Dragons. I feel like the Dragons are coming off last week. They nearly got there. They have some moments, but the Doggies, just injuries really hurting them at the moment. So yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video today. Please make sure you comment down below your thoughts. I love a discussion in my comment section all the time. Thank you so much for all your support coming into my channel as well. I'm nearly at 500 subscribers, so thank you so much for everyone that tunes in every single week for me. Shout out, hopefully tomorrow I can get a Supercoach video out, depending on team list and all that sort of stuff. If not, check my community page. I will chuck up my team before the weekend, before the bye lockout. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much, guys. Take it easy. Have a good weekend. Peace out.